This is the story of a fisherman named John, who as usual sets out into the sea on his small boat to fish. But something is different this day. Suddenly, a dense fog surrounds everything, and nothing is visible for miles. John loses his way, and while drifting around, he spots a deserted boat. Driven by curiosity, he ties his boat to that one and decides to go inside to take a look. As soon as he steps inside the boat, he is stunned. The entire boat was empty. No person, no sound, just a mysterious silence. When John entered that mysterious boat, everything seemed perfectly normal. The food was fresh, clothes were neatly folded, and there were signs of human presence everywhere. But no one was there. He tries to start the boat, but the engine doesn't work. John is astonished to see a single empty boat on such a vast sea. He tries to look around with binoculars. Perhaps someone is nearby. But the dense fog had covered everything. Disappointed, he returns to the control room and switches on the radio lying there, intending to send a signal for help. John sent a message on the radio. "Mayday, Mayday, this ship is stranded at sea. If anyone reads me, please respond." After sending the message, he thought he should now return on his small boat. But when he came out, his boat wasn't there, even though he had tied it securely. His surprise increased when he saw that the fog that had been everywhere had suddenly cleared, and the sky was wide open. It was now afternoon. John couldn't understand what was happening. Seeing no other way to return, he went back to the empty ship and began searching for a route using the map. John now tries to figure out where he is and how he can return home. The problem was that the engine of that mysterious boat was broken. If he was to survive, he had to fix the engine at any cost. He searches for the toolbox throughout the ship, and after hard work, manages to fix the engine. This was a great relief for him. The boat was now running, and he slowly began to get his bearings. But the danger hadn't passed. John goes to the control room and tries to contact someone via radio again. But again, there is no response. Everything was still shrouded in mystery. Then he comes up and suddenly needs to use the toilet. Since no one was around, he decides to just go in the sea. As soon as he goes to the edge, suddenly someone shoves him from behind. He falls straight into the water. The situation was extremely dangerous. But by somehow grabbing the rail, he saved himself from drowning. The pressure of the wind and water was so intense that getting back to the boat became difficult. But he didn't give up. He mustered his courage and slowly pulled himself back onto the boat with the help of the reel. Amidst all this, he still needed to finish his business, so he went to the toilet again. As soon as he got down, someone suddenly slammed the door shut. John initially thought it was the wind and didn't pay attention. But when he tried to get out, he saw that the door was locked from the inside. Now he was astonished. He tried every way to open the door, even using a coin from his pocket to pick the lock. But all was in vain. Now he started to feel that he wasn't alone on this ship. There was someone disturbing him, invisible but always present. He felt like someone was ruthlessly toying with him. He shouted loudly, "Please, whoever is out there, open the door. I'm not a thief. I just came to look." But there was no reply. Now he understood that hoping for help was pointless. He moved towards the cabin, and what he saw inside terrified him. There were bloodstains there. The atmosphere was terrifying. But he ignored the fear, picked up a pair of scissors and tried to open the door. But the lock still wouldn't open. Just then, the entire boat began shaking violently, as if something big was about to happen. John was extremely panicked. Then, his eyes fell on an overhead window. He somehow got out through that window and looked around. From a distance, a massive cargo ship was seen approaching him. Its direction was straight towards his boat. John realized that if that ship collided, everything would be over. He had to save his life at all costs. He thought of signaling, but he had nothing. He immediately took off his shirt and started waving it vigorously so that someone on the cargo ship might see him. But sadly, even after so much effort, no one noticed him. Now, John had to save his life somehow. If his boat kept moving, it could collide with the cargo ship, and everything would be destroyed. Just then,
his eyes caught sight of a rope hanging near the window.
Quickly tied the rope and threw it outside to stop the boat's speed. But the situation worsened. The rope got entangled in the engine's propeller, and while pulling, came inside the bathroom and snagged around his neck. He started to suffocate. Reaching the brink of death, he showed courage and freed himself with a tool. His neck was completely red. He was almost dead, but managed to save himself at the last moment. The rope was stuck in the engine, which halted the ship's speed, but it wasn't enough. The heavy cargo ship still collided with it. The violent impact shook his ship badly, and John fell to the floor, unconscious. He had a deep cut on his head. After some time, when he regained consciousness, he saw that the bathroom was filled with water. But the most surprising thing was that it wasn't salty seawater but perfectly clean, fresh water. As if someone was deliberately trying to terrify him. He breaks down once more and pleads, "Whatever you are, please, just let me go." But still, there is no reply. Now he was hungry, thirsty, and extremely weak. He somehow managed to drink water from the bathroom shower, but soon realized the water was gone. Then, when he started drinking water from the sink, he was astonished. Now that water had turned salty, he immediately understood that the boat had a leak somewhere, and seawater was coming inside. This boat wouldn't last much longer. Panicked, he tries to open the door, but it seems someone has locked it from the outside. It was night, and it seemed like some invisible, perhaps evil force was controlling this boat. The water was rising fast, and John, exhausted, fell asleep. A terrifying storm hit the sea at night, severely damaging the boat, and John was also seriously injured. When he woke up in the morning, the water had reached up to his head. Only his face was out. Now he felt that he only had a few moments left. Just then, a slight click sound was heard from somewhere, as if something had unlocked. As soon as John turned the handle, the door swung open with a loud noise. The water pressure was so immense that the door broke and fell down, and in this way, he managed to get out. As soon as he got out, he went straight to the boat's roof to breathe fresh air, as the oxygen below was almost depleted. Now he was convinced that some invisible force wanted to torment him at any cost. He was physically and mentally broken, and the water was continuously filling up below. He understood that the boat could sink at any moment. John had decided he wouldn't stay on this ship anymore. Then an idea came to him. He took out airbags from the ship and used the broken bathroom door to make a small raft. He tied everything firmly so the raft would hold. But he also needed some essential items to sail the raft. He collected food, water, and essential tools from the ship, and fully prepared himself. Then, without looking back, he got off the ship and, riding the raft, slowly began to move forward in the sea. He was on the raft, and the same large boat was still standing in front of him. Several hours passed, but neither could he get very far, nor did the boat sink, which he thought would happen in 5 to 10 minutes. It was still in the same condition. Then an idea struck his mind. If this boat hasn't sunk yet, why don't I fix the leak? If that happened, he could comfortably travel on this sturdy boat. Thinking this, he went back to the boat. First, he fixed the leak. Then, using pipes and tools, he built a pump to extract the water. With the help of the pump he built, the seawater filling the boat slowly drained out. After fixing the leak and removing the water, he also fixed the ship's other problems. He also made external repairs to avoid further issues during the journey. After finishing the work, he tried to call for help on the radio again. But this time too, there was no response. Disappointed, he returned, took out the map, and began to understand the route again. He tried to move the boat forward, but as soon as he started the engine, the boat didn't move at all. It was as if it was betraying him again. The boat was completely motionless, as if rooted in the water, and this thought was breaking him down from within. He was completely exhausted. Hopes were fading. Just then, he saw another ship approaching from a distance. Now he had only one way, to reach that ship with his small raft. He immediately got onto the raft and quickly headed towards that ship. But then, that ship suddenly began to shake and started moving rapidly towards John, as if someone had deliberately aimed it at him. John increased his speed, but that massive ship got even faster, and just before it could collide with him, John made a final effort and decided to jump off his boat and swim to the other vessel, which was seen moving away. But by the time he reached there, the boat had vanished. That's when he realized there was some evil force on this mysterious ship that wasn't letting him go anywhere. He had decided that even if it cost him his life, he wouldn't return to this boat. But by evening, the cold started to increase while he was swimming in the water. Dolphins were swimming below, but the water temperature had dropped severely. Unable to bear the cold, he was forced to return to the same boat. He was so tired and sick that he couldn't think straight. He simply wrapped himself in a blanket and fell asleep in the room. When he woke up in the morning, he decided to leave this ship again. But now he got another shock. The room door was locked. He panicked and slowly began to break down mentally. He couldn't understand why all this was happening to him. Just then, his eyes fell on a small cabin in the room. As soon as he opened it, a path upwards was visible. A ventilation area through which he could escape. He entered the cabin, which was a cramped storage area. Every time he tried to climb up from the storage area, he slipped and fell down. He sustained several injuries from falling, but he didn't give up. Falling repeatedly, he finally reached the top again and tried to open the vent's window, but it wouldn't budge. It seemed as if it had been deliberately sealed. Now the oxygen there was also depleting fast. It was getting difficult to breathe. The door below was also locked. He couldn't go back to the room. He started to feel that this was his end. But just then, he heard the same mysterious click sound again. As soon as the cabin window opened with a click, John came out without wasting any time. The fresh air gave him some relief. Coming outside, he saw that the boat was moving towards a small island. This sight sparked hope in his mind that perhaps now he would be free from this terrifying ship forever. As soon as the boat reached the shore, he immediately got off. He thought there must be someone on this island who was responsible for all this. Angrily, he picked up a stick and started searching the island, but soon he was astonished. There was no sign of human presence on the entire island. Now John was filled with anger and fear again. As soon as he left the island, a new sight appeared before his eyes. The same mysterious boat that brought him here was now sailing away in the calm sea, as if searching for another victim. Seeing this, John became completely convinced that this boat and this island were under the control of some evil force. He had to get out of here at all costs. His life was still ahead of him. Exploring, he reached the highest peak of the island, and from there, he saw another island far away. But it was so distant that he couldn't see what was happening there. As John walked around the island, he gradually circled back. But when he reached there, his eyes widened in shock. This was the very place where his journey had begun. Everything was the same. His old boat was tied in the exact same spot, and the same people, as if nothing had changed. The entire atmosphere was as before, as if nothing had happened. John stared at everything. He couldn't believe that this nightmare-like experience had actually happened to him. But now the question was, how did his boat get back there? And what was the truth about this island? When John reached the back of the island, he was astonished. The same place, the same boat, the same people, as if nothing had changed. He couldn't believe if all this was real or a nightmare, but whatever he suffered was the truth.